And somehow we have
Hey,
to.
everybody. We are live, and I am Haley Gray, and this is my dear friend, Victoria Bentley.
Hello.
Welcome. Hey, how's it going?
I think that I've had a busy week, but not as busy as yours. And I'm finding myself a little bit winded after the week that I've had. But, you got to roll with the punches, and that's the way work is. Uh,
That's what we do, right?
mhm,
You roll up your sleeves, you just get it done.
and you get it done. And, she who has the best of intentions doesn't always get there, deliver, and whatever else.
I know how that goes.
I know, I know. And
It's,
you and I have been talking about tonight, and I'm really looking forward to this because you and I have I think, some ideas that are important to women entrepreneurs about business relationships. And
mhm.
part of what I'm bringing to the table is my age and having a lifetime of business relationships, and also a lot of disappointment because I expected something other than what I got. And
Yeah.
is my that's my doing, that I
Hmm.
did not have boundaries for business
Hmm.
relationships. And I think as women, um, we tend to approach business relationships as often as we would a friend relationship, where we would expect those women in business with us to relate in the same friendly ways, and it isn't that way always. And I'm
Well, or that, there's almost this like unspoken expectation that you have these trusted advisors who are going to
Right.
provide you advice for free. And, hey, can I pick your brain?
Yeah, and I think that's great. I want to
And
turn
we all
my
do each other a disservice when we do that.
well, but I think if you have um a deal that, I'll be your lawyer, you be my IT person, or whatever it is,
Hmm.
that this is you and I are going to trade information. I think as long as people are upfront about what the deal is or what their expectations are, like, number one, I expect confidentiality, but I also know that I can't get that. And um, you and I have talked about being in a group before with a leader of this group, this women's group, and I'm careful as I say this. That leader did not zip it, and
Correct.
so when that leader of that business group said, "Well, you haven't told me about your business. You don't tell me things," and I'm thinking, "Well, no kidding, because you do not value confidentiality. You don't recognize that." For example, in the business that I have, almost every customer I have has a non-disclosure agreement. So
Hmm.
I can't say that, I sell to Sally Sue or Billy Bob. And a lot of times I can't even describe what it is because it would imply that it's Sally Sue or Billy Bob. You
Or
know,
there's government classified information
right,
involved
right,
that such and such is buying
right. Mhm,
whatever part.
mhm. And right. And I can still have business conversations with people without disclosing my customers and without disclosing what it is I make or what it is I do. And I, as the situation you and I are talking about, uh, that particular woman was very offended that I didn't spill my guts and bleed out and all this other stuff about talking about my business. And it's like, no, I'm here for um, tools. I'm here, and I was very clear what I was there for. I'm here to learn how to handle X, Y, and Z. That doesn't mean you need to know it all. I'm here for very specific things to be able to develop skills so that I can go on to do A, B, and C.
Hmm.
And I think women often expect us to become best friends in the same way that you're best friends with your best friend, as opposed to a best business friend. And I
Hmm.
have attorney friends who I can call on and say, "Hey, this case, this event, how did you handle that?" And they can call on me and say, I had people say, okay, I'm doing this and I've never done it before. How do you do it? And I tell them how I did it. That's not, that doesn't mean you tell them everything. That just means that you comply with the deal that you've made. And I think that those
Right.
boundaries and those limitations have to be understood.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also important to have that network of business relationships. And a lot of times we forget, that can make or break our business.
Very much so. Very much so. Because she who is networked is so much better off. But what does networking and what is trusted advisors mean to you? I mean, if I want a trusted advisor, I put a retain, and I have one, and I put the retainer on the table, and I say, "You are now my lawyer, and we're going to talk about A, B, and C."
Mm-hmm.
That said, I cannot say to that lawyer that Sally Sue and Billy Bob are my clients. That's off the table because I have non-disclosure agreements. But I can say, I want to throttle Sally Sue and Billy Bob without saying who they are, or I'm saying, how do you handle a difficult client, or how do you handle a client who hasn't paid his bill, or how do you handle a client who's rude, or how do you handle a client who treats your office staff poorly? Da, 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 da.
Right. Or how do you handle the client who wants everything for free?
Yeah, yeah. Which means, oh, I'm not valuable. You want everything from me from free? Well, then I'm obviously not valuable to you. And why would I want you in my life
Mm-hmm.
if I can't recognize that you are worth something and you have talent that I need? Then why are we doing this? And women sell themselves short if they're doing it that way. I really think so. We used to call it a rabbi. You have somebody who's in your business, who's been in your business longer than you have, and
Mm-hmm.
that's your go-to person. And they're not going to hold out on you because, oh well, you might take away their business. They're there to uh, mentor you.
Mm-hmm.
And I had those people. I had judges I could call, and I can remember a time that I was considering a specific employee, and I knew the judge knew that specific employee, and I knew a couple of minutes into this phone call that, oh gee, I am putting this judge on the spot. And I realized and said so. And the judge gave me sort of a parable, kind of an analogy, which told me very clearly, you don't want to hire this person without ever saying anything about this person. And there are ways of doing this. And I think that's important. And I think that um, just because this is a business relationship doesn't mean you want to have dinner with them, doesn't mean you want to
Mm-hmm.
on vacation with them. It means that you want to share information and learn something from them or teach
Right.
them something. And that was a real tough one for me when I was young. The people I worked with, I wanted to socialize with, and I'm thinking, I don't do that anymore. I I don't. I very very rarely socialize with other lawyers, and many of my colleagues do, but
Right.
it puts clients on the spot. Well, if you're going to the country club and having lunch with her, how well are you going to represent me? And so I don't even it's never an issue. It never was an issue because I simply didn't do it. The only time I had lunch with a colleague was to discuss the case. Like, let's sit down and figure out what are we doing with this divorce, or what are we doing with this custody, and how can we settle this? And that was the only purpose of the lunch. And I made notes, sent my client a letter, and said, "This is what we discussed over lunch."
Mm-hmm.
Sent the letter to the other attorney. This is the understanding that we came to. So, business relationships are terribly important, but not in the same way as friendships.
Absolutely. And, it's important to have both.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And to have, I would say, cordial professional relationships with other people in the community is very important, because a lot of times,
Very much so.
I've run into people, I've worked with people who, there are large swaths of the community that they cannot work with, or who won't work with them.
Why is that?
Because of personality, or because of, well, they've done somebody wrong, and your business relationships, start to precede you. And
common courtesy is free. And, at 25, you don't always know how to behave, but with a good mentor, a good rabbi, a good mentor, they can tell you how to do this. They can tell you what you need to do to make sure that you learn these things, and you learn the tools of the trade and the ropes of the road to be successful in your business. That's the whole point here. We want to be successful. We want to be ethical. We want to do right by our clients. Now, how do we learn to do that?
Right.
We learn that from other people who have done our jobs.
And how do you get the right advisors? How do you get those right mentors? How do you get those right people in your circle who then really are those influencers in your career and in your business and in your life? And it's important to have those.
And I think often, especially when you're dealing with a person of good character, it's as simple as an ask. I've been asked lots of times, can I call you when I have a question? Well, yeah. And that's what you do for those who are coming up in your profession. And it used to be, in law, it used to be that when young lawyers started out, they would go to a firm, and they'd spend a month in property, a month in tax, a month in criminal, a month in whatever. Firms can't afford that anymore. You got to hit the ground running, and you got to start making them money, or you're not worthwhile. So who is there to teach them? And I think there are lots of people who are willing to give away their expertise. As it isn't all. You and I were talking about time is valuable, and giving away for free. But I think when you get to be my age, part of being my age is being a mentor and being someone who can help guide other people. I think.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a difference between mentoring and giving it away for free. So for instance, I mentor students who are in the INE program at Duke.
What's INE?
Innovation and entrepreneurship.
Wow. Okay.
Because my concentration coming out of Fuqua was entrepreneurship and innovation. And
Fuqua was?
The Duke School of Business.
Thank you.
Sorry. I refer to it, and I assume people know, and I know that's not really the case. So I got my MBA from Duke, which is a Fuqua School of Business. Now you're keeping me honest. But, I do go back and mentor students because it's the right thing to do.
There you go.
I do a lot of what I do here in Women's Entrepreneur Network because it's the right thing to do. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to sit there with everybody and provide endless one-on-one business coaching for free.
Well, heck no.
Because I can't.
Well, but even if you could, your time is valuable. You go give a seminar at Fuqua, or you give. I've gone back. I don't keep my license up, but I was a registered nurse, and my college has asked me to come back and give seminars because I'm an attorney on how to keep everybody, on the straight and narrow. What happens if they're in a situation that might go legal, and what they need to do.
Well, and how you can recognize that the situation might go legal in the first place. Yeah, you can't know to avoid something if you don't even know that it's potentially a problem.
Right.
And it's a thing in every business. You can't learn to avoid the problems if you don't even know what the road signs mean.
Right. And that's where a mentor comes in. And trusted advisors, different people do different things. And I've talked about my lovely
Mhm.
friend Glenna, who died, and on Friday it'll be 1 year, my dearest friend. And she said, I have different friends for different things. She said, I
That's
have
beautiful.
this friend for humor.
Mhm.
She said, when I'm feeling bad, I know that I can call Sally Sue and she makes me feel better because she always has a fun story.
Mhm.
And she said, I have this friend who will give me honest advice. If I say ABC,
Mhm.
I know she'll give me honest advice. And she also said to me, and since we're talking about advice in business and relationships, she always said, I take it to 3 people when I have a dilemma or a decision to
Mhm.
make, and I'm not sure. I take it to 3 trusted advisors because I know I'm going to get a quorum.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was a great one. That was a tool that I learned. Take it to 3 people. And I thought, yeah, but then my opinion makes it even. So I'd have to take it to those 3 and go with that. But
Yeah, and I've done that recently with a program that I'm getting ready to launch.
tell me about it.
So I am getting ready. Well, I'm doing the Build Your Tribe Challenge, which is teaching you how to get people into a Facebook group. And on the back end of that, just so everybody knows, you'll be happy to hear your first time you're hearing it announced. I am launching a social seller mastermind program, which is a program teaching you how to do social selling on social media and how to leverage social media to do selling, how to bring in clients.
How to sell on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me about this mastermind.
So we are going to meet weekly, and it's going to be a mix of what I call true masterminding, where you bring a problem to the group and you talk about where your problems are, where your successes are, what you need help with. And the group will try to come up with solutions for your situation. And due to the amazing powers of Zoom, we can do breakout rooms and we can break people into small groups to do these conversations. And there will also be a component of education and training. So not only is it, me teaching, but it's also the collective hive mind working together to achieve better results.
This is exciting. How many people will you have in your group?
So we're looking at about 12 to start with.
At 12. And how long will you meet? Will you meet for a year?
Yep, it's weekly for a year. So we'll take off Thanksgiving and Christmas weeks, but basically it's,
Basically, it's a
probably.
year. That's exciting. And are you going to be the leader of this group?
I am facilitating it.
And how many teachers will you have?
So it's me and all me.
Okay.
It's me all the time. At least for now.
Okay. And what is your selling point to your audience of why am I signing up for this group?
Why are you signing up for this group? Because a lot of people really struggle with that. Okay, so I see that there's a lot of people on here getting clients, but I'm not sure how they're doing it. I'm not sure how to do it without spamming people. How do I recognize the social signals that happen on social media? So we'll talk about like things people do, like when they first start approaching you, and then how to kind of start reeling them in to get them into your thing and into your program, and what the different stages of that might look like.
Okay. So you're going to teach people about sales, about closing.
Sales, closing, and then, the getting people interested, the whole marketing piece where, you get them to that point of being willing to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Which is what I call like pre-sales or, kind of like marketing. But it's really that developing those relationships, but in the online context. So it's important to me to really discuss that. And hey, Lisa, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, glad you saw the notice that we were live. Yeah, and I'm really excited about this because I think it fills a really nice gap because it's the difference between, high-end programs where if you were already high-end, you'd already be selling and, basically free, because I want people to have a level of commitment. Um, and the idea here is that I'm going to teach people enough in the Build Your Tribe Challenge to start building that, audience to where, okay, now we're going to start working on that. Now I have somebody to actually talk to. Because if you don't have anybody to talk to, it gets really hard to sell to anybody.
Now, do you have a website set up for this?
It's coming.
It's coming. All right.
It's coming.
When is this going to debut? And are you planning on starting in January?
So it is starting next month, and it is the website is going to be live in the next about 48 hours or so. We're in the middle of testing the affiliate programs and all of that fun stuff, because we're offering an affiliate to our WEN members. So if you bring clients on board, you can't use it for your own self, but if you bring a friend, then you can make 20%. So some pretty exciting stuff.
Very much so. And the ideal client for your program is?
So I would say somebody who has a ton of experience, who really knows what they're doing. But this online selling piece is totally new and different. So, maybe has pivoted relatively recently to the online world, just starting to get going in the online world. Maybe has even spent like a lot of money on other coaches and haven't seen results. One of the things that I think that a lot of the coaching programs leave out is that holistic aspect of like really trying to help you look at the entire business and figure out where things are going sideways. And we're going to really try to attack and, dig through and peel back the layers of the onion and figure out where things are not working, because it's frequently similar for many people, but there's also a lot of different places where the sales process breaks down. And I know I've taken some phenomenal sales training online. And there are programs that I really recommend, especially if you're doing high-end programs. But the thing that those sales programs always left me with was how do I get somebody to talk to me in the first place question.
So the opening the door.
That opening the door and getting your toe in.
Started. Well, I'm excited for you.
And if you're not consistently getting those people too.
I think you're probably a very good person to do this, because I know nothing about your world. I don't. But I also know that no matter what I ask, I know you know the answer.
Well, or I've had to figure it out the hard way.
But you still know the answer, or you know how to get the answer.
Yes.
And so
thank you.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're the frequent flyer that can. Very few problems come up that you have not experienced. And isn't that? I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were neighbors starting in 1978 when she was. I can't remember if she was an intern or a resident. I can't remember which it was. I think she was starting a residency and not the internship in OBGYN. And she was, just right out of school, a year or so. And we became friends. We walked to the door of the apartment complex office at the same time. And I went through the door first and got the last 2-bedroom apartment. So she had to get a 3-bedroom, and it turned out she was across the hall. And had it gone the other way, we would have never met. And that was 1978. We're still friends. And she was telling, she's been practicing all this time. That's 42 years later. She's still practicing OBGYN, and
amazing.
She's still delivering babies. Who is still delivering babies after 42 years? She's amazing. She works 100 hours a week, and she loves it. She grooves on it. I've never met her.
I have known a few OBGYNs who are like that. I mean, some don't, but I know a few that, delivering babies just lights up their world.
Yeah, that's why she doesn't want to give it up. And she doesn't have any partners. She's a solo practitioner. It's not like she's in a practice. So anyway, she said to me, and this was like 20 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago, she said, I love what I do because I've hit that point in my career that anything that could go wrong, I've experienced it and I know how to handle it now. I don't have to ask somebody for help. They now ask me. And you know,
Hmm.
everything, every kind of breech baby, every kind of mom in distress, every coding, everything you can, every cord around the neck. She's experienced it all. And she said, what a joy it is to now go to work and have all this experience. And you're that person too. You've been doing this a long time. And you say, oh, I've got a program for that, or I've got a guy who does this, or my friends all laugh at me because I get 5 phone calls a day. Vicky, can you tell me? And it's always, yeah, I know a guy. And they laugh.
But that's the power of those business besties and that
There
network.
you go. There you go. And it's, this morning it was a guy with what's called Dupuytren's, where your fingers are starting to contract, and I need to see a hand surgeon. Oh, I know a guy. And I said, please tell him I said hello. And he said, how does he know you? And I said, I represented his wife in their divorce. And I thought, isn't this fun that, I could be on the other side of that case, but
Hmm.
it was civilized and it was courteous. And I did right by her and I did well for her. And when I see him at the
Hmm.
country club, we can say hello. As
Because you kept it civil as opposed to going batshit berserk.
Right, as opposed to, screw you, my kids are all in therapy because of you. Right. And we laughed about that. And he said, is he going to want to know that it was you? And I said, yeah, we're fine. And but that is the frequent flyer, the high time practitioner. You know a guy, and that's a great thing you can do for your clients,
Yeah.
is to say, oh, if you need this, this is where you can go. And your mastermind, people are going to come and say, oh, you need to go see Haley because she's going to teach you how to do A, B, C, and D,
Hmm.
so that they can become their own super practitioners,
Absolutely.
masters of their own ship, whatever that ship is. I'm
Um,
excited. That's cool.
I am very excited. And y'all are probably not going to believe this. I'm actually an introvert.
Oh, no, no,
And
no, no.
I've made like, a lot of people don't realize that, I'm an introvert. I'm an engineer by training. My background is in computer science. So if you don't know anything about computer science majors and programmers, we're pretty introverted as a whole. Um, and I mean, if it's possible for me to have made a mistake in the online world, I've done it twice, maybe a few more times just for good luck
There you go.
and good measure because I'm hard headed and I can be a slow learner.
Yeah, but I was going to
For
say, yeah,
emphasis.
but I divorced him. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
Yeah, my husband is a very, very fine salesman, a professional salesman his whole career, and he's going to be retiring soon. And he has always said what an introvert he is. And if you
Mhm.
met him, and you have met him and you know him, he's a very cheerful, very friendly, very outgoing, talkative guy. And he has said to me, I had to teach myself to do that because I always wanted to do this job. He always wanted to do advertising sales, which he did a lot of his career. Now
Mhm.
he's doing technical sales, but he said it I had to discipline myself to do that because by nature I was an introvert. And I hear that from a lot of salespeople.
Mhm.
And I think you can be a great salesperson and be introverted. And I think people who are starting their business, who are going to do this mastermind and learn how to break the ice, learn how do I get my alarm is going off telling me that I have a podcast at 8 o'clock with you, and we made it 7 o'clock tonight.
Just for giggles and grins.
Just for yeah, um, that people can learn to do these things if they want it bad enough. They can learn
Absolutely.
to do it, and they can say, okay, what is my weak spot? Well, I don't know how to break the ice. I don't know how to say, hey, look, I've got this business and I think you could benefit from my skills, and do that on a platform as opposed to sitting across the table or at a bar or at a cocktail party or whatever. I'm of the era that I only know how to do that face to face. I wouldn't know. I mean, I wouldn't know how to do this on a platform. And
Well,
so,
that's the point of social signals.
Mhm.
And social selling is that it's different. You have to look for different
Give me an
body
example
language.
of a social signal on how you would know when you're not hearing somebody's voice and you're not seeing somebody's face. How would you
Right.
know? Give me an example.
I'll give you a perfect example. You do a Facebook Live and somebody comments on your Facebook Live. What do you do next?
Okay.
Do you message them? Do you get to know them better? Do you get to learn about their business better? Or do you just say, hey, thank you for commenting and drop it at that?
There you go. Now I just learned something.
Right? I mean, because they gave you the opportunity to say, hey, and Lisa was, talking, and I happen to know Lisa. Um, how do you want to engage? And so a lot of times what I've started doing is if somebody comments on a Facebook Live, I will actually private message them and say, hey, how are things going? And get to know them, not to sell them. Not necessarily with the intention of selling them, but getting to know them. And then once I get to know who they are, what their business is, where they live, those kinds of things, then I start to understand, okay, could they maybe be in the market for my services or not? And then, you go from there. But it's not the, kind of, jump on them. It's that reaching out and extending an olive branch and then having um, conversations. And Lisa is also, she's a specialist in social media engagement. And she says, and are you getting one word responses or are they genuinely responding? Basically, be a human 101, LOL. Right. But a lot of people don't know how to start a conversation with a random stranger that they've never talked to before. And a lot of
Why
times,
is that? Is that because everybody's got their nose in their phone? Is that what this generation is? Because
well, and there's a lot of social media people out there that teach the whole, and Lisa might back me up on this, and maybe I'll hit a hot button for her too, but they teach you this follow my method. So they have this whole way of starting a conversation that's like, so tell me what you do. And you can kind of spot them a while away and they're like, so where are you located? Da, 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 da. And it's like very scripted. And usually
and
like,
intrusive.
and it is intrusive. And it's kind of really weird when you talk to people because it's almost like a chat bot. Like they're not really reading what you're saying. And, you know, not everybody is going to be your customer, like everybody, but everybody you meet, most likely knows somebody that needs you. And, this is a really phenomenal opportunity to have conversations with people and start conversations with people. And, the cool thing is that um, the it's the interaction, the honest interaction. And Lisa, I agree with you. Oh my goodness, I wish copy and pasted would be deleted from all keyboards and phones. So obvious and gross. Yeah, people do the copy and paste thing. And what I'm seeing with Facebook right now is that as little to 3 or 5 copy and pastes in a row will get you put into Facebook jail. And every platform does this. So whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, they all will shut you down if you do copy and paste for more than 2 or 3 in a row. Because the algorithm detects that I'm copying and pasting in people, and they know that people don't like to be copied and pasted.
I would think one of the things that you could offer in me knowing you and you
Mm-hmm.
and I having worked together and we're doing this together and
Mm-hmm.
we do very different things, but we also work together and give each other different tools and give each other different things. I would think that it's terribly important for anyone who's going to go down this road to be very clear about their goals or to be willing to become very clear about their goals. Because if
Mm-hmm.
they don't have goals,
Yep.
they're going to waste their time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Lisa says 100%. I was sending invites to a birthday party and got shut down last week. Yeah. And the number keeps getting lower and lower and lower in the Facebook algorithms.
Well, I want to know from Lisa and from you, what does that mean shut down? I mean, like when you're put in Facebook jail, how long are you in jail? How long are you
It
not
depends.
allowed on?
Depends on how long the algorithm decides you need to be in jail. 2 hours, 24, a month. shut down your whole ID.
Whoa.
You could lose your whole account.
And yet, ISIS and Antifa have platforms on Facebook. I'm just saying.
And there's all kinds of different groups that have platforms on Facebook. And yeah, and Lisa says, I got 24 hours blocked from Messenger. And it's a thing, right? And it's incredibly frustrating. You know, especially for a lot of us who are legitimately using the platform to do business on, whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it's on Facebook. You know, some of the really weird behaviors are kind of the same on both platforms, where you get these like almost like chatbot things going. And I think some people do have these chatbots. And, you know, they ditch people that aren't interacting enough, and then, you know, add a whole new batch of friends and then ditch other one. Anyway, so there's this whole thing. And, you know, there's nothing quite so lovely like being on LinkedIn. You know, you accept somebody's connection, and the next thing you know, they're going, hey, please download my free Hoodsy Watch It from the Hoobidly Watch It. And or my personal favorite, since I actually do lead generation, is, oh, would you like lead generation? I'm like, no thanks, I'm good. And you know, you'll get this like nonsensical answer back, or, oh, how are you doing for lead generation? I'm like, I'm doing just fine. I've got a Facebook group with about 70,000 people in it. You know, I think I'm doing fine. Oh, well, I hear that problem a lot from people.
So they're absolutely not listening to you. And to me, not being listened to is just commensurate with being homicidal. It's
block report.
Yeah, I just no. If you're not going to listen, why am I going to talk? You know, what's the point? Life's too short.
But this is what people are told to do on social media a lot of times, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Twitter has shut down all of the autoresponder bots now. LinkedIn keeps shutting them down, and then new ones will pop up and people will get their accounts shut or whatever. Not a big believer in using auto whatever anything on any platform, because almost all of them will get your account shut.
Well, yeah, but if you're trying to build relationships, that sounds like the way to sink it, you know?
Yeah, it's not how you bring in $1 million clients.
Well, but the lead generation conversation you just had, clearly you weren't being listened to, and why the heck would you be dealing with something like that? You wouldn't.
And that's the big thing on LinkedIn right now is, you know, lead generation people selling other people lead generation. Sounds like a Ponzi scheme to me. Or Facebook, it's direct sales and lotions and potions and Hoosie Watsits combined with a lot of really interesting different types of coaches. Although now I've seen a few of the interesting coaching things on LinkedIn too. And when I say interesting, I'm talking like all kinds of different mindset and health coaches, like approaching it like totally back-asswards.
If I didn't say this, I want to congratulate you on your incredible summit. I can't remember if we started out with that, but you had huge success. You had huge numbers, and you worked your fanny off to get there. And
oh, I've got some left.
Don't we all? Yeah, really. Junk in my trunk. Oh my.
Same.
Tell you what, the time marches on right across your fanny. I'll tell you.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yep, that is just the bane of getting older. But that and the lines on my forehead. But you have done this so well, and you've done this so successfully, and you have become a collector of smart people around you and interesting topics and interesting solutions. And you know, the I Fix Broken websites has become a whole lot more, and good for you.
Working on helping people take a more holistic approach to their businesses and their marketing, because it's not just the, you know, follow this 1, 2, 3 process, but it's like teaching you some of the emotional intelligence and some of the social intelligence to help you master social media and trying to stay abreast of all the changes as they're happening, because the platforms like to change everything on a whim out from underneath you.
I still think you got to start with know thyself before we go down this road.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm. And then you're going to get what you get out of it. I'm excited for
This is so cool.
Mastermind.
I am very excited for the mastermind.
And this is going to be very cool for the 12 who come in. Are going to grow and benefit and enlarge their businesses and expand their minds and learn about appropriate business dealings and what their goals are and how to get there.
I hope so. I think it's going to be amazing.
And for anybody who's wondering, I've been in a mastermind with Haley. So
that's how we met.
That's how we met. And we were each other's accountability partner, where we had to speak to each other several times a week, talk about what our goals were, talk about what our projects were, talk about what was keeping us stuck, talk about our, like, oh, what do I do? How have you handled this, etc. And what a wonderful thing that was for me, and a great learning, and just changed the course of my life. So
likewise,
I'm really excited for you. And
thank you.
We had a lot of fun in the process.
Oh, we sure did. Yeah, I need to get up to Pennsylvania sometime soon.
I would like that. I would love it if you would come.
I'll make that happen.
And I'm going to get down your way too this fall to visit family. So,
oh, awesome. Let's make that happen.
We will make that happen.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We will see you next week.
Next Tuesday. We'll be back at 8 o'clock next Tuesday.
Awesome. We'll see you then. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.